Welcome to BitBoy Crypto, home of the BitSquad, the largest and greatest crypto community in all of the interwebs. I don't know why I said it that way. This is Around the Blockchain. We come to you Monday through Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we talk about your favorite topics with your favorite guests. Today, no exception. We're going to go ahead and start on the top right. I promise he's more tan in real life. It is Tom Crown. Make sure you check it out. It's just a really bright lighting. And you have so many windows. You're just getting bleached out. Then on the bottom right, Miss Teen Crypto. Make sure you're checking her out. She has tons of great content. And one of the zestiest, I would say spiciest interviews lately, her and Richard Hart. It's a good one. Then on the bottom
gonna get better.
left, you can see him on Twitter waging in on the flat earth theory. It is mineyourbiz. You have to follow him to see what angle he lands on. Who knows? Who knows? Does he think it's a sphere? Is that space behind him real? Is there ice walls? We don't know. Then on the top left, my favorite crypto musician. Sorry, Crown Chakra. I have a new favorite. It's Piano Matty B. Make sure you follow his content.
Thanks,
as well.
DZ.
It's great stuff. But today we're going to be talking about crypto derivatives. We're actually talking to some derivative leaders in the industry. These are top executives. Where do they think Bitcoin's going? When do they think the Bitcoin top is going to happen? We're going to cover those. I might even try to get some price predictions. Then Coinbase is wrapping ETH. CB ETH, not Crypto Blood. It would have been a great episode for him to be on here, though. But no, CB ETH. Are you going to end up wrapping yours? And then SEC getting into Web3 again? Is this bullish? All right, but before we do cover those topics, let's look at the crypto market, see where things are heading. And I'm looking at the markets, and we're looking decidedly flat at the moment. We have Bitcoin coming in 21,000, Ethereum barely hanging above 1,700. It's up slightly on the day. But if you look at the weekly, we're down almost 8% and 9% respectively there. Now, Tom, looking at some of these channels, we got Bitcoin. You're saying, how it's just been kind of boring sideways action. We're stuck in this channel. Do you see the same channel I'm seeing? Are we going to break out of this anytime soon? Is it tightening at least, where maybe there's going to be an end date? What are the markets telling you?
There's definitely nothing on the chart, man. The last 5 days have just been a straight line, horizontal line. But we do have a catalyst coming up, and that's tomorrow. There's the Jackson Hole meeting, where pretty much the biggest bankers, finance people, and Mr. Chirpow will be gathered together for the first time. They do this yearly, but this will be the first time they've done it since 2019. To discuss all of the topics that influence markets. So I think if ever there was something that's going to push us out of this just sideways motion, hawkish, dovish talk tomorrow, likely to do it. Yeah, let's see what happens.
All right, so you're kind of waiting on the traditional finance reports to help move it. Well, Matty, I want to ask you, on the same vein here, I kind of want to show the chart here. This is kind of what Tom was talking about. This is just the last 30 days of Bitcoin. You see a lot of volatile action. We came from 20,000 up to 24 very quickly, swinging as low as 22.7, swinging as high as almost 25. And then if you look here, this is what Tom was referring to, just the last 5 days, very little movement. Now, Piano Matty B, we have some big crypto news as well. It's not just, the traditional TradFi. We have the ETH merge coming up. Are people kind of waiting on the sidelines for ETH to maybe choose a direction of what it wants to do, like even the Bitcoin whales here?
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't the sentiment now, especially more than ever, people actually want it to keep going down? Yeah. I find in my comment section, people are just like, it can't go down fast enough, strong enough, or low enough. So I'm kind of in that camp where I'm expecting a little more of a leg down. Whether it comes or not, I don't really care, because I'm pretty good at DCAing on a weekly basis. If it goes down, great. But I know that I've never experienced people wanting it to go down so much, so fast, and forever. I'm quite content with it just sitting here. I've reconciled the thought. I have plants up on the chart. I'm going to be here for about a year and a half watching the sideways action. I'm cool with it.
Now, Matty, the last time I kind of felt this sentiment, and I would agree, there's a lot of, hey, just turbo nuke already, I'm waiting on it. I felt like we saw that in June and July of last year. Everybody calling it for it to go lower when it hit 28.5, 29K. And it went higher. Are you expecting maybe something similar or different this time? What do you expect when everybody I know it's going to go lower. I know it's going to happen soon. What typically does the markets do?
Well, I'm a contrarian by nature, so whatever I'm thinking, I wait for the dog pile to come. So if I'm thinking it's going to go down and all of a sudden everyone becomes bearish, I immediately think that I'm wrong because I can't be on the side of everyone being right. Then I go the other way. So like it could go up to 30K, it could go down to 20K. This is all just noise. So it doesn't really matter to me. Like people get excited, it goes to 25, comes down to 20, they get depressed. It goes up to 25 again, they get excited. I don't care. It can go to 30. I'm not going to get excited. We're going to be here for a year and a half. Settle in.
All right. Yeah. And year and a half at least. All right. Well, I did say we're going to bring up these crypto derivative managers. This is a report, Global Crypto Derivatives Industry Representatives. They sent out a big survey, and a lot of them got some pretty different opinions. There was a lot of disconnect. No one was really agreeing on. Now, I do agree, everyone's, hey, it's going lower, but when they came to decide when is the top, they were decidedly split. They're basically broken down into thirds. A third thought 2023, a third thought 2024, and a third thought 2025 would be when Bitcoin eclipses its previous all-time high. Now, Mind Your Biz, what does the mining algorithms tell us? I mean, usually after halving, it takes a little bit of time for that supply shock to happen. So, just generally speaking, just a broad estimate. I don't want you pinpoint it down to one day, but year-wise, I mean, what would the traditional halving cycles tell us is going to be the next one?
That's a brilliant question. First off, thanks for having me back on the channel. It's always great to be here with the Bit Squad and great to hang with the homies. Miss Teen Crypto and I were talking about how one of the best things in life is to just be around people who you like talking to and talking to them about crypto. So this is always a dream come true. Thanks for having me back. With the mining aspect of looking at crypto pricing, unfortunately, pricing doesn't factor into it in the same way. You can't plan your portfolio on dates for halving cycles. And the largest groups that did that, they were using broken models like stock to flow. And the ones that did that, unfortunately, they've either gone bankrupt or they've had to right-size their operations because they put too much faith in a fractal that just didn't repeat. These fractals don't always repeat, and they're not something you can necessarily plan by. And it is looking a lot more like we're nearing the top of an S-curve, or we're getting into the curve at the top of an S-curve, not like we're still on a linear projection where these fractals will do the same thing and kind of leave us at the same approximate percentage or maybe a projected price amount at the end of a certain period. So right now, even mining, trying to figure out like what's the net hash versus the total amount produced versus the sell pressure from mining operations. There's a lot that's up in the air. And the last time you had me on the show, I think just to harken back to that snippet from before, the question came up like, what's happening with the miner sell pressure? Well, we had a failure of the centralized lenders to be a source of funding for some of these operations. So the externalities, right, in this market from mining, they're very unpredictable right now as well. So I couldn't give you a date. I couldn't give you a number. What I can say is that my gut has been telling me for a while that we are going to experience bottom support lower than what these geniuses here are saying. So maybe they know something that I don't, but my gut keeps screaming that we're going to see lower prices than what they're projecting. That's what I can say.
Miss Teen Crypto, let's cover the other angle. I kind of want to know what your 2 cents is, and maybe I'll even give a rare DZ, guess here. If I had a guess for the next top for Bitcoin, or to previously past the 69K, so when we hit 70K, I'm leaning towards 2025. I'm really not being that technical with it. 3 years, 5-10 months after 21, and that's kind of gives you the year of 2025. What's the Miss Teen Crypto? What's the zesty prediction on when you think we'll eventually hit 70K?
Wow, DZ. Man, 70K. I think it has to be sooner than 2025. I can't imagine waiting until 2025 to see a new high because there's so much adoption happening. I think, despite everything going on right now, all of the FUD, I think we're really going to explode in adoption, and the necessity for Bitcoin is going to increase because as we keep going throughout these few years, especially the last 3 years, we see the accessibility to our funds is completely different than what we thought. I'm still getting letters from the bank saying that if I take my money out of the ATM more than 5 times, I will get charged a fee for taking out additional cash from the ATM. So our accessibility to cash is not the same. The need for Bitcoin is going to grow at a rapid pace, especially because I think maybe more countries, due to their inflation, they're going to adopt Bitcoin. And I don't see the government stepping away from Bitcoin as well, because more people, I guess we're going to get into this topic as well, more people from the government, from the SEC, are starting to step away from the traditional system and step into Bitcoin. So I can't imagine 2025 being the next high. It has to be sooner than that.
Okay, I know we all hope it. Let us know in the comments, what date do you think we'll hit 70K? Maybe go back. If you're right, I'll give you a free NFT, and maybe I'll hear from you in a couple years. You know, just point back to the video. I'm sure you'll remember. I'm sure you'll be able to find your comment. It won't get lost in the noise. All right, let's move on. Talk a little Coinbase and not crypto blood ETH. CB ETH, that's right, Coinbase ETH. They want to wrap staked ETH on their platform. They're going to allow you to exchange it 1 for 1. The CB ETH can be minted or burned per a floating conversion rate. And the contracts, they're going to make them open source. They're going to audit it. Everything is going to be very public. And they want to enable even other DeFi entities to make decisions and be able to use this CB ETH. I'm going to bring it to you, Mind Your Biz. When we've seen ETHs with a letter or two in front of it, it typically doesn't work out well. I don't want to get into the technicals and the differences here, but when you saw this, there's going to be a CB ETH. Where did your mind go?
You know, it's a really good thing that we weren't streaming yet when you sent over these show notes, because I may have dropped a swear when I read this article, DZ. Yeah, I've got some pretty strong feelings on the topic. I really do. So being able to create stake derivatives or wrapped Ethereum representations on chain, it sounds like a really powerful thing. But what we're doing is we're trying to turn decentralized systems back into the old failed centralized systems. We're trying to turn permissionless systems back into the old failed fintech centralized systems, and permissioned systems, where if there's a failure at any other point in the chain of custody, or there's a failure at any other point in the collateralized debt position for this derivative, well, then we fail as bag holders. It's even worse than some of the other tokenized representations of assets that we've seen in years past. It's even worse than some of the fork chains and some of the, the stake drops and all. We've seen it all, right? We've seen hundreds of different ways of trying to create value in crypto. And at its worst, a move like this can be completely disastrous. Now, is it definitely going to be disastrous for Coinbase? I mean, we can't say that, right? Certainly, I can't predict that. Coinbase has done some pretty amazing things in years past, but in my opinion, I really do feel like Coinbase's best years are behind it. I really don't see this turning out the way that they're hoping that it'll turn out, and I really do see there being potentially some slip-ups in the future as they're waiting for whatever that future tech launch is, right? Or additional functionality launch on the post beacon chain merge Ethereum landscape. Like they're not even being very, they've been kind of non-committal about when they're going to create the snapshot for the value that this thing's supposed to represent. It's a little bit amorphous, and they're saying, oh yeah, kind of hand wavy, like, yeah, it's going to include some of the staking rewards and stuff. And, just CB ETH. Don't worry about the ticker symbol change. It's kind of loosely related to ETH, even though it's not really the exact same value. That concerns me. It's the worst of centralized holding paired with the immutability of decentralized systems, and that scares the crap out of me.
I think you bring up a good point saying, Coinbase's best days are behind them. I actually haven't even really thought about that. I wonder, is Coinbase looking like an AOL? Or are they looking more like, a Google, pre-YouTube? All right, now I'm going to bring it to you here, Tom Crown. I think Mind Your Biz, he kind of put it well. It's kind of loosely correlated. I forget what was the actual jargon that they use. It's going to be very, very close, but it's not, obviously it's not pegged. It's not a 1-for-1 conversion. It's going to be a floating conversion rate is the words that they chose to use there. What do you think is this going to affect the value of Ethereum at all? If this starts getting too cheap, are people going to maybe less buying pressure on ETH, money flowing into this? Is this going to hurt ETH's price?
I feel like we just did this, didn't we? Didn't we just do this with like SF or something? Wasn't that a big part of the whole collapse of Celsius and like Three Arrows Capital. I feel like this just happened. Am I going crazy? Or do we just, it was the exact same thing too. It was like a staked Ethereum that was like a, an asset that would unlock when the merge appeared or whatever. This does not sound like a great idea. And actually, I love that. Plus one to Mind Your Biz for that. I grew up with Coinbase, and looking back even at the last few months, it does kind of seem like their days are behind them. Look at their NFT platform was one of the biggest flops in crypto, period. I don't know if anyone even used it. This is not going to be interchangeable one for Ethereum, is what they're saying. I just feel like this is deja vu. We just got past this. Now Coinbase is trying to do it again. What is the point even? I mean, obviously they're looking to profit in some way. And whose money is it going to be from? It's obviously going to be ours.
Yeah. All right. Now, Miss Teen Crypto, I think it was the show, Eric Andre show, where the quote, I don't trust like that. I don't trust people that look like that. The famous quote was uttered. Do you trust this protocol? I think Mind Your Biz brought up a good point. They've done some good things in the past, but then Tom Crown, they got some flops in the past, this NFT market. What are your thoughts on this specific product? Is this something you might be interested in?
Me? Nah, I don't think I'm necessarily interested in it. I just feel like there's just so much going on. And I think I read in the article that the supply is controlled by Coinbase too. So I feel like this is a little centralized for me, no? I don't know if I'm going to really interact with the protocol that much. I don't see anything else to it besides trying to stake something. And there's so much regulation around that right now that, and I'm surprised that Coinbase is even doing this, considered they're really under fire from the SEC and they have so many eyes on them that wouldn't this be an extra risk to them? Is this a risk for me as a retail investor? Am I going to have to run into problems like maybe with Celsius? And then at the end of that, they were trying to say that you needed to be an accredited investor to get involved with all these things. I'm just not trying to look for trouble. You know what I mean? I feel like I maybe let this play out. I'll look from the sidelines and maybe get involved at a later date if I see there's some improvements. But again, there's just too many, open holes that aren't in the questions that aren't really answered here. So I'm just going to sit back, relax, and see what's going on right now, because there's other wrapped ETHs as well. So there's just so many other options to play with. So why would I go play with Coinbase? I'm not sure.
And then there's good old ETH. There's just regular ETH. That's pretty good.
Exactly.
Aren't they worried it's security?
I feel like maybe
doesn't even sound like a security.
Yeah.
Dude,
I mean,
it totally sounds like a security.
Everyone's using the wrapped ETH on. Everyone's using the wrapped ETH on OpenSea to buy NFTs for how long now? So it's just like I don't know.
I'm happy with my WETH. I kind of forget. I do use wrapped ETH, but I don't even consider wrapped ETH in a weird way. But now, Piano Matty B. You've been around, you got the sound, and you know that poop's brown. I kind of want to ask your opinion here. How does this end? We've spelled out some pretty alarming, second order consequences, possible scenarios here. How do you think this ends?
Well, obviously it doesn't end well. It never has, it never will. You can dress a monkey up. I'm always shocked that people hear these things. And I couldn't agree more with Tom Crown. It's like, I know I wake up every day, I think I must be the crazy one, but isn't the wound still raw from Celsius and everything falling apart? And then they just try to present this. They sell it to everyone. It's like, oh, that seems like a great idea. And I mean, if you have a massive risk appetite and you love Ethereum, and don't get me wrong, I'm a fan of Ethereum, but derivatives of it, any proxy type of product, I just don't understand. I wouldn't be involved in it to begin with. So I can't believe people are buying it. Maybe we'll find out that no one really does, but I'm sure there's always going to be a buyer for something.
No, I agree. It's still raw. It still stings. And every time the wind hits it a certain way, I wince. All right, well, let's, Celsius, give me my ETH back. All right, now let's move on, talk a little SEC. It's only 2, but it still hurts. SEC official. We have him right here. Jay Clayton. Here he is laughing as a Girl Scout cookie falls down his sidewalk. No, I'm kidding, of course. He is the former chairman of the U.S. SEC Commission and is senior policy advisor for the firm. So we have a former lawyer, and he's stepping away. And like we kind of alluded to early in the episode, he is stepping into the Web3 universe. He's joining Electric Capital. This is a venture capital firm in the crypto space. We've heard that one before. but they have about $2.5 billion in assets. Uh-oh, we've heard that one before. But this is, yet another example of someone leaving the regulatory space, the crypto, and then heading into a blockchain firm. Matt, I'm going to throw it right back at you. Maybe throw on your cynic hat here. Do they want him for his connections or his expertise, or is it a little bit of both here?
Well, I mean, to me, it's always gross when I hear this, and it's heartbreaking that everyone embraces the best of human nature in these people. But I come from a firm place where everyone on that side are lying to you and stealing all your money. So when they walk across the street, you know what? I'm done with this sector. I'm going to the private sector. I'm going to help them out, and everyone thinks that's a great idea. That's your very first mistake, and that will end poorly. And when I what is it? He's from the Federal Reserve. That's how can people even accept that? The first thing I do is I take them out for drinks after, and I'd say, hey, you two. So SEC, Federal Reserve, you guys are you're done with that? And they'd probably look at each other and just be like, yeah, might say we're done with that for now. But I guarantee it, a couple of years back on the other side with their kickbacks for ruining that project. And then it's just a revolving door where there's big pharma, big food, big money. They just go back and forth. It's gross, and there should be a ban. Once you're working for the government, you can't go to the private sector for like 10 years. If I had any say.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with a moratorium. I think it'd be a great idea. Now, Miss Teen Crypto, kind of want to ask about the meme culture. We saw the younger generation get involved maybe about 2 years ago with the meme stocks. And there's like a rallying cry on Reddit. We're taking down the big guy here. We're taking down these big capital allocators. They're short squeezing this stock. And you know what? I like the popcorn. I want to go save GameStop, even though they gave me $1.99 on my Halo 2. But can we mimic that with the SEC and some of their battles? Just for instance, say the XRP lawsuit. Does the XRP versus SEC, can it capture the attention similar to how the AMC stock and the GameStop stocks did years ago?
I don't see why not, especially the library case, right? I think, there's so many things going on right now where they're stifling innovation. I think I touched on this the last time, maybe a few around the blockchains ago when I was on. We can't stifle innovation. And I feel like that's really what's going on right now. And then to have some people from the SEC like Jay Clayton now go into a Web3 VC, that's kind of like, they want to get involved and they want to see what we're up to, and they want to kind of control what's going on in the space until they learn what we're up to and step out and try to maybe go back on the other team, like you guys were saying before, and try to regulate this. It's very confusing. And I just think that, we need more of a border of where we kind of understand these people, where they're standing and where we're standing in Web3, and how we kind of need to separate ourselves and continue on with what we're doing. And maybe, they're trying to infiltrate a little bit. I think we're very strong, though. Although, back to the original question, this could draw a lot of attention, and I really hope it does. Amongst the younger generation, we're very interested in drama, and this is a little bit of drama. So we will come in, we'll take a look, and I think, especially if XRP takes the W, library takes the W, this could really help the space.
Yeah, let's hope they take some W's, SEC take some L's, and what's her face said? No more drama. Mary J. Blige. All right, now, Mind Your Biz. We were talking before the show about reputation, and I want to ask about Jay Clayton's reputation. Now, the last thing he did, his last day at SEC, spent finalizing the XRP versus SEC lawsuit. Now he's taking a position in Web3. Will that follow him, or crypto? Are they forgiving? I mean, are they going to say, hey, aren't you that guy? Or are they just going to welcome in with open arms?
No.
I see no problems here, DZ. So actually, what is that? The guy gets to work on one of the most high-profile cases of the SEC versus the crypto space, and then immediately is on a board of Web3 VCs. No. Obviously, anybody with eyes to see that are actually in the proper resolution and not cross-eyed, they just know this is not a good thing for the space. We don't want this, and we don't like people who who are playing whatever flag football. You got to have real skin in the game, and you can't just switch sides whenever you feel like it and take a little breather. That's what Gensler did too. If y'all remember his MITx course, it's still totally freely available. So speaking, kind of comparing apples to apples here, Gensler did this course for MIT called the MITx, fully open source course. It's actually reasonably good what he did as a guest lecturer but he didn't write all his own material. And some of the stuff that he did in that role perfectly queued up some of the actions that he's taken now since he's been with the SEC. And I see this thing being repeated all over again. So to your point, DZ, him doing this, working on this XRP case, such bad optics. Anybody on this VC group should be able to see very clearly, like, this guy's going to be toxic. Before long, he's going to become a PR nightmare. And this is just me from the cheap seat saying that if he's not a PR nightmare for them yet, I'm going to do everything I can to make him a PR nightmare for them, because we don't want people like this involved in Web3. We don't need them. They're the ones that push for the ETFs that Bitcoin roundly rejects, right? When they get passed or don't get passed, Bitcoin doesn't care. Getting them involved in Web3, metaverse, ecosystems, NFTs, complex financial instruments on programmable chains and stuff, we don't want them there either, right? And we can tell this whole space is starting to absolutely reek of these suits who are coming in and trying to convince us that they're just, one of the Web3 kids. No, please go away. We don't want you. Take whatever it is that you're trying to sell and sell it back to the old school fintech people. We don't need it.
All right. Well, Tom Crown, I'm going to try to put you in the awkward position of defending the kid down the street who won't let you play with the basketball here. Isn't it better for a project to have someone who understands the ins and outs of the SEC and the regulation? Won't that actually be a benefit for this? I forget what they're called, but for this capital allocation team?
Yeah, I'm going to say in my heart of hearts, I obviously agree with what Mind Your Biz just said, but hot take. These people, they know the ins and outs of the SEC. They've worked there. They know how the system works. They know probably even information we don't have about what the SEC is looking for, not looking for. They have some force or future sight when it comes to what the SEC is going to be looking at down the road. So taking these people in and having them at least not on the SEC side, I mean, I could see some kind of positive outcome there. I could see, at least they're on our team. It's a hard thing to defend. This guy it seems a little scummy.
Yeah, the enemy of my enemy is my friend, unless, they're sticking a dagger in my back. At least that's what Caesar said, I think. But I think that's all we got time for. And it looks like Mind Your Biz took it down, even though he wouldn't tell me when the halving cycle says the Bitcoin top will happen. I was just wanting a year, brother. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, Mind Your Biz. Feel free. Take it away, sir.
Well, hey, definitely appreciate you having me back on again. It's always a pleasure hanging with the Bit Squad, some of the most informed people, because you get this diversity of opinion like you see on this here panel. Really appreciate you giving me a shot at, giving the Mind Your Biz take on things. If you want to check out Mind Your Biz, just go to the link you see above me, sub.myb.lol. And obviously, sub to my co-hosts or my co-panelists as well. They're all awesome.
Yeah, they all got great content. I never plugged my own channel, but I want to plug my own channel this one time. We just put out a video on the origins of Claymates. It is a pretty well done documentary. I wish Michael, the guy running the board, would have. No. Great editing. You're going to want to check that out. If you like Claymates, you like Cardano NFTs, go to NFT Alpha. But we have Frankie Candles about to go live, so check him out. And until next time, Bit Squad, easy out.